Hey guys, what is going on? This is WrestleLamia back with another episode. Hell in a Cell is just days away, and so far there are no matches from the Blue brand on the card. Will that change after tonight? Join us now as WrestleLamia looks at the 3rd June edition of SmackDown, as well as the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors you need to know, including CM Punk forced to take time off due to injury, what this means for the AEW World Championship, 2 AEW stars engaged to be married, why Noelle Foley has an OnlyFans account, and more. As always, WrestleLamia won't recap the matches, but look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. The good. Madcap shows fire. Madcap returned to SmackDown to call out Happy Corbin, with the former funny man showing an edge fans haven't seen before. In typical WWE fashion, he's now going by one name, and as odd as Madcap may sound, it's better than Moss. Madcap's promo was somewhat stilted, but he showed plenty of fire. The segment's highlight was Madcap attacking Corbin as he sought revenge for the not-so-happy hammering he took at Corbin's hands. While it is questionable whether many fans want to see another Madcap vs. Corbin match, this segment did set the stage for the no-holds-barred match at Hell in a Cell. Six-Pack Sizzler. SmackDown continues to work on developing its women's undercard, and tonight's six-pack challenge was a clever way of showcasing 6 superstars without taking up the entire show. Watching the match, it's clear that there are a number of good challengers for Ronda Rousey if WWE can build them up just a bit more. Performers like Shotzi, Xia Li, Aaliyah, and Raquel Rodriguez may seem too green to be legitimate challengers, but that's not necessarily the case. Rousey did a great job making Rodriguez look like a legitimate contender when she wrestled her recently, and more matches like that can help the younger stars seem like viable contenders. Riddle's revenge. It was good to see WWE show that Riddle is more than a high-on-life, lovable goofball, but someone not to be trifled with. While it's safe to say that no one thought Riddle and Nakamura were going to win the Undisputed Tag Team Championship, Sami Zayn's interference was all it took for Riddle to snap. It didn't help that Shinsuke was taken out by medical personnel midway through the match after a bad bump. Riddle is an outstanding performer, but this direction could remind the fans of his MMA background and that Riddle can be a dangerous opponent. Shanky is a pleasant distraction. And then there's Shanky, a wrestler who seems cut out for a comedy role as Jinder Mahal's henchman, who's more concerned with dancing than wrestling. Shanky continues the long line of dancing fools in wrestling dating back to the Honky Tonk Man, Disco Inferno, and even the Great Khali. Shanky hasn't been around all that long in the WWE, but his current role is at least getting some time in the spotlight, and just like romance angles, comedy angles can be surprisingly effective in getting a wrestler over, and the WWE may be going for a romance angle based on his dancing with SmackDown announcer Samantha Irwin. The bad. Another Madcap Corbin match? It's been said be careful what you wish for, but WrestleLamia would like to know if anyone is looking for another Madcap vs. Happy Corbin match. The WWE doesn't know when to say enough is enough when it comes to anyone feuding with Happy Corbin. Part of the reason is likely due to Corbin's ability to get a good amount of heat regardless of his opponent. Still, that's no reason to drag out a program and bore the fans as WWE is doing here. Sure, the no-holds-barred match is a good stipulation, but this feud needs to end at Hell in a Cell. A questionable challenger. Natalya is a veteran grappler with 2 women's championships and a tag team championship to her credit. However, did the 40-year-old need to win the six-pack challenge to determine the #1 contender for the SmackDown Women's Championship? Natalya wasn't a poor choice to challenge Ronda so much as a lazy one. WWE would have been better off putting in a younger star like Raquel Rodriguez, Shotzi, Xia Li, or even Aaliyah, whose gimmick seems to be getting locked up by Shotzi. The only good thing about Natalya's win is that WWE isn't booking the match for this Sunday and may give the Natalya vs. Ronda match a decent build-up. Another 6-man snoozer. Tonight's opening match between the Drew Day, Drew McIntyre, and the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and the Brawling Brutes was not only a meaningless match, but a snoozer that shows how WWE is sapping both McIntyre and the New Day's appeals. While the New Day are always going to have their fans, this pointless program with the Brawling Brutes is doing nothing to elevate them, although the case can be made that Butch is looking good thanks to his unpredictable character. This series is problematic for Drew McIntyre, who by most accounts is going to face Roman Reigns at Clash of the Castle. Drew hasn't been lighting the world on fire since he was drafted to the Blue Brand, and a feud like this makes him look like just another wrestler. The problem is that SmackDown doesn't have any main eventers for him to work against other than Roman Reigns. The Downright Ugly, a stale SmackDown. Tonight's SmackDown was such a letdown. The show featured far too many rematches, with the matches doing nothing to forward storylines. Roman Reigns' absence is felt on SmackDown, and the WWE's efforts to build new stars have been futile. Watching WWE book rematch after rematch makes WrestleMania wonder if the Blue Brand's writers are playing it safe or just lazy. While people can blame Roman Reigns' absence for SmackDown losing a step or two, the real reason is that the WWE has failed to create any new stars, just as it's failed to getting fans to care about wrestlers like Drew McIntyre and Kofi Kingston, as well as the 2021 King of the Ring, Xavier Woods. News: CM Punk preparing for surgery. Topping today's news is CM Punk's revelation on the 3rd June Rampage that he is injured and will need time off for surgery. The recently crowned AEW World Heavyweight Champion broke the news to fans, telling them he needs time off for surgery, but he will be back and bigger, faster, stronger, and hungrier than ever. Punk said he was ready to relinquish the title he won at Sunday's Double or Nothing show. WrestleMania wishes CM Punk a fast and full recovery. What's next for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship? Although Punk was ready to relinquish the belt, AEW President Tony Khan isn't having him do that. Instead, AEW will crown an interim AEW World Champion at its upcoming Forbidden Door pay-per-view this June. All Elite Wrestling tweeted, "This Wednesday on AEW Dynamite at 8/7 Central on TBS, we'll kick things off with a battle royal to determine who faces #1 contender Jon Moxley in the Dynamite main event. The winner of Dynamite's main event goes on to Forbidden Door to challenge for the interim AEW World Championship." Cesaro returning to WWE? Could Cesaro be returning to WWE? According to a report in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, the longtime WWE veteran is thinking about returning to WWE. Diamond Dave Meltzer noted that it's unknown if AEW has reached out to wrestling's Swiss Superman, but that with the size of some of the new contracts WWE is given, there is the feeling that a guy like Cesaro in his early 40s will return because he's comfortable with WWE, even though he recognizes he'll never be used on top, but there's nothing definite in that direction. Meltzer added that Cesaro may be at StarCast 5 and has looked into other wrestling gigs which he could not do were he to return to WWE. Would you like to see Cesaro return to WWE? Shinsuke Nakamura injured? While it's been confirmed that CM Punk is injured, things aren't so clear about WWE superstar Shinsuke Nakamura. Fans tuning into SmackDown's main event between the team of Riddle and Nakamura versus the Usos saw the King of Strong Style hit his knee on the steel steps, leading to the WWE's medical team taking him backstage. It's unknown at this point if it's a storyline to help fuel Riddle's war with the Bloodline or an accidental injury. WrestleMania will continue following this situation. Noelle Foley's real reason for OnlyFans account. Noelle Foley has launched an OnlyFans account, and while her reason for doing so is the same as many other content creators, that is, cash, there's a specific motive behind it: Noelle's health. Foley recently spoke with Mel Magazine about what led to her opening the account. "If I'm being honest, I have a lot of medical bills from a concussion from September 2019, and the symptoms have never gone away. It's so deeply affected my life. It seems like no matter what treatments and physical therapy I do, nothing helps. So with the medical bills I already have, that's just been bonkers." Noelle said that she's looking into stem cell therapy to get well, and she estimates the OnlyFans account will take care of this as well as her past medical expenses. What do you think about Foley's new OnlyFans account? Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti engaged. Last but not least, big news for AEW fans as Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti got engaged in spectacular fashion. TMZ Sports broke the news that Sammy popped the question to Ty Conti in perhaps the most romantic place on earth, underneath the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. According to TMZ Sports, Guevara, 28, asked Ty, real name Tainara Melo de Carvalho, to be his wife with one of the world's most iconic and romantic structures as a backdrop. In classic, old-school fashion, Sammy got down on one knee before asking Conti, who he's been dating since December, to marry him. Well guys, there you have it, WrestleLamia's look at the 3rd June edition of SmackDown, including the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know in wrestling. Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.